That's
Yeah,
right.
so
That's right.
well,
Postmodern
I
left
talked
is
to Brett
anti-evolutionary.
Weinstein the other
Yeah.
day, and one of his claims is that evolutionary biology has something in it to offend everyone. So it's a science that's very likely to be targeted by extremists. You also brought up something that actually touches on the difficult problem of how it is that you might define someone who's ideologically possessed, let's say, or ideologically rigid. Because the idea was that you can make a valid case for the utility of free information flow and the free flow of people that would go along with that, and you can make a good case for the danger of that. And so the idea might be that if you're only making a case for the danger of that, then you're tilted too far to the right. And if you're only making a case for the utility of that, then you're tilted too far to the left.
Exactly. That's right. And so we can look at immigration as a nice example. There's a recent essay in The Atlantic, I think it was, by Peter Beinart, where he starts with a lot of quotes that are pretty nuanced positions about immigration from Barack Obama, Paul Krugman, a bunch of other people on the left, who used to be able to say, on the one hand, compassion, economic. On the other hand, we have to have a legal process, and there's a threat to low-wage workers. So people on the left used to be able to talk about immigration and talk about the pros and cons, the pluses and minuses. But Beinart shows how in the last 4 or 5 years, you can't. If you so much as suggest that, well, maybe immigration is on net good, but it might have some deleterious effects on certain classes of low-wage American workers, you could get in big trouble.
Right, because that's instantly prejudicial now.
Because immigration has become a sacred topic. So this is the key thing that I want everyone to keep in mind. We are fundamentally religious creatures. We're built for religion. And it's a great achievement to create a scientific establishment and an academic establishment that keeps that way of thinking out. Scientific thinking is not natural thinking. Religious thinking is natural thinking. Right. And what's happening to us in the last few years especially is a flooding in of religious thinking. And so let's get a bunch of social scientists to talk about immigration. What are they going to do? Look at the data? Weigh up the pluses and minuses? No. Many of them feel they're on a team, and that team is fighting the right. The right is anti-immigrant. It includes racist elements. Therefore, that justifies us in being pro-immigration. And social sciences there's always ambiguity. There's always conflicting studies.
Yeah, and there's multiple causal factors
exactly,
as well, always in a social science study.
That's right. So Beinart's point was that the left used to be able to think straight about immigration. Clearly it had it was generally pro-immigration, but it used to be able to think straight. But in the last few years, a religious, orthodox mindset has overtaken it.
Okay, so we might as well also point out that it's a primordial religious mindset, right? Because, there are...
Yeah, I don't mean Christian or Jewish. I mean ancient, tribal, small scale, lots of gods.
Right, right. Well, so then one of the things that you might suggest is that when you throw out a sophisticated religious structure, an unsophisticated religious structure comes in to fill the gap.
I do think that's true.
Okay,
yes,
okay. So that's definitely worth thinking about. So
yeah, that's right. So that's right. The thing with religions, we have to clarify fundamentalism is the problem, not religion. And so if you
it's close to tribalism.
That's right. If you get a fundamentalist, I'm happy to say, and if you have people applying to a grad program in psychology, and I find out that they're Christian, that's fine. There's no problem. But if they're fundamentalist Christian, I would think, well, let's say it's not psychology. Suppose it's geology. Mm-hmm. So someone applies to a geology program, and they're a fundamentalist, young Earth creationist. Are you going to admit them? No, I don't think you should. They're not able to do the right kind of thinking based on what we know to be the case. They're
not in the scientific paradigm.
They're not in the scientific, that's right. So if we wouldn't admit a fundamentalist Christian to a geology program, why would we admit someone who is just as fundamentalist about certain moral and political issues into a sociology program or into a psychology program? If they come in knowing what the right answer is, committed to that right answer, likely to get angry at anyone who contravenes that right answer, and showing signs of closed-mindedness, I don't think they belong in a grad program.
Yeah, I guess the question is, how in the world do you set up mechanisms to ensure that you're not swamped by fundamentalists of any sort? So those are people who are reducing everything to a single cause. It's something like that. How can you implement a structure that protects the organization against that without the structure itself becoming totalitarian? Because these things spin out of control so fast.
Yeah.